Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing great. I'm making this video to talk to you about a possible new, I don't know what you call it, a new option for my channel or for my practice, which I wanted to share with you as also a way to probe you for your interest, which you'll be able to express both in the comments and maybe in your, upward or in your thumbs up or whatever, in reaction to the video. Basically, and this is already indicated in the title of this video, and it's something that I've already talked to my Patreon community about. But one thing that has, I'm aware of, if you like, through comments, through emails, through other means of communication, through Discord as well, is that people come to me and ask me, do I provide a typing service? Obviously, we know that there's a lot of people who would like to be types, and nowadays, there's more and more typing services. You can go to C.S. Joseph, you can go to Joyce Mang. You can go to Joyce Mang, great person. You can go to Objective Personality, Cognitive Type, and many other ones. Harry CPT, Cognitive Personality Theory. And people like to get typed, and sometimes, I get the sense that there's a bit of demand for me to provide some kind of service. And this is something that I've been considering before, but I have been kind of reticent about it for a couple of years now, and I'll tell you the reasons why, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking of as a possible way to provide something without quite going all the way to, just start competing with other people who provide typing services. So, number one, why have I been reticent? Why have I been reticent in the past about it? So number one, a personal feeling that my area of specialization really is the INFJ type. So, I don't know how comfortable I would be with providing a typing analysis of someone who's not at all INFJ or something like that. I probably, I have a good knowledge of other types, don't get me wrong, but to go so far as to I don't know if there's a bit of an imposter syndrome there, but to go so far as to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to type you. Okay, with what model, with what framework, with what this, with what that. If I'm going to provide a typing service, it has to be a good typing service, it has to be a good product that I offer. Otherwise, why make people pay? So that's one thing that I thought, okay, it could be a lot of time, I could be competing with a lot of other people, and is it really worth it? Maybe I could just redirect people to typing services that I think are reliable. But at the same time, I'm thinking that, well, on the one hand, I'm thinking that if people come to me, they must have a reason, they must care about what I think. And second of all, a lot of the time, typing services, I'm not talking about any specific one, in general, I don't always agree with their typings, and I don't always agree with their INFJ typings, right? So there's maybe a source of disagreement in terms of how I view things and how they view things. And regardless of who's right, who's wrong in the end, often that question is determined within the internal framework of a particular model that is used by the person providing the typing service. My particular understanding of the INFJ, if it is correct, and it's kind of in keeping with my book, The Ecstatic Soul, which you can also find here if you haven't got the book yet. The INFJ Bible. No, it's a good book. Get it if you haven't got it. Right, less than $10. I do know a lot about the INFJ. I've written a book about the INFJ. I've observed INFJs for years. I've identified as INFJs for 6 years, 5 years. I've interacted with a lot of them, lots of different types and correspondence through Patreon, through many different platforms. So it probably is useful if I could give an opinion, because I do feel confident about, knowing what the INFJ type's about, the different subtypes, and usually I am able to kind of, figure out whether someone is INFJ or not by talking to them, by interacting with them, by observing them. So rather than providing this very formal service where I'd be providing an entire typing service to people, I would be thinking more about interacting with someone in such a way that they would give me, they would send me something. It has to be kind of ironed out, such as, for example, I think what would be good would be a 20-minute or maximum half-an-hour video divided in two sections. First 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, where they talk about themselves, and the second half of 10-15 minutes where they talk about their interest, their worldviews, how they see the world in general. On that basis, I'm pretty confident that I could get back to them with the video of my own, you know, and all this can be shared confidentially through unlisted YouTube videos, for instance, where, you know, in that video I would talk to them, you know, in video about, first of all, number one, whether I think they're INFJ or not. If I don't think they're INFJ, I'll make some suggestions about types they might well be, and for them to research those types. And I have some good sources on other types as well, you know, that are not the basic ones. And if they are INFJ, the kind of flavor, you know, and this is something that maybe I would be uniquely positioned compared to the, you know, to the competition, to provide a qualitative dimension of, okay, like, you're not just INFJ, this is the kind of INFJ that you are, particular subtype, particular. So, but instead of being something that's very formal, like you score this, you score that, and this is what you get, it'd be more like a qualitative description of, well, number one, whether or not they are INFJ, and second of all, the kind of INFJ that they are, the flavor of INFJ that they are. So, number one, like, if you think that this could be an interesting thing for you to get from me, let me know, because I'm sensing there is a demand, but I cannot quite measure yet to how big the demand is. Okay, so that's number one. So I'm curious regarding your thoughts on this. Now, of course, there's a question about payment, as it were. You know, so I don't want it to be a service whereby, you know, I'm like, okay, I put in my schedule, like, you know, half an hour, we have a chat, and then you pay me 100 quid or whatever. Like, partly also because it won't be a completely formal, streamlined service. You know, it's like an exchange of videos. So it's a service, but it's a bit more informal. And it's just not my type to, my no pun intended, but to, you know, to feel like I'm taking advantage of people in some sense. But at the same time, I want to be able to get something from it, because it's precious time. And, you know, I'm a man who usually has a full-time job, and, you know, juggling different things, being recently married can be complicated. So the way that I'm thinking about it is, at the moment, but I've been probing my Patreon community, and I want to probe you as well, is to say that it's a service that would be offered to Patreon supporters. So if you're in my Patreon community, you can get in touch with me, and you can submit a video for me to analyze, and I can provide the analysis. You know, again, like maybe I can do once a week, or I can do twice a week. It also depends on my schedule, but this is something that, you know, I'd have a list of people that send me their videos, and they can get their typing this way by being a patron, by being inside the community. So instead of paying, like, you know, a sort of lump sum of 100 or 80 or whatever it might be, you become a patron, which essentially anywhere from €3 a month, you know, upwards. So it's a lot cheaper. In fact, someone who was a little bit kind of smart about it or whatever, they could become a member, pay their €3, get their typing, and then stop being a Patreon supporter. And so they get, like, essentially what would be the cheapest typing of all time. With that being said, oftentimes I find that people love to have a second opinion on their type, or a third opinion, you know, so they like to come back and ask me again, for instance. Okay, I have a look at another video. So if I see that someone's like joining, just getting the typing and then leaving, it might not be as easy for them to get a second typing, you know. So, but even if you were a member for 1 year, at the minimal membership kind of cost, you know, you'd still be like 2 or 3 times less expensive than your next typing service. So, and you get the other benefits of being a Patreon community member. So at the moment, that's what I'm thinking. You know, it's like, I'm not making people pay for that a lump sum, is like your credit card, whatever. But it's a privilege, as it were, or it's a bonus. It's a service that you can access as part of your Patreon supporter package. I haven't implemented that yet. It's still at the level of being hypothesized and considered. But really grateful regarding your thoughts, because you know, I've asked my Patreon community, but I also want to know about your thoughts. And also, like, is this something that you would consider if the option was there? Right? Do you trust me, or do you trust your INFJ type too much? Would you be concerned? You know, you're comfortable being INFJ. You'd be a bit scared that I look and tell you might not be. It also depends what you want from me, you know. But the broad idea, is it something that you think could be interesting to you? Please let me know in the comments. I'm very grateful. You can support me on Patreon from now on if you want. The link is below, and it helps massively. And again, it could be really win-win, you know, like the more, you know, as I try to kind of feed more content, exclusive content and services into my Patreon, and that supports me as well. So let me know, and I will see you next time. See you guys. Bye-bye.